Hello and welcome to another bi-weekly episode of the Beat Review live stream. Good to have you guys here. Good to finally be alive because I did this a couple of minutes ago and I hadn't clicked the button, so I wasn't live whatsoever. But now we are. This is working, everything is here, and everything is good to go. I kind of failed to schedule this live stream in beforehand, and I realized that like half an hour ago, so I expect a little bit lesser people here in the beginning of the show. But that's what it is. You know, we're doing this every other week, every other Monday, talking about beats, listening to beats from people in the community, giving a little bit of feedback and all that. And that's what it is, and that's good. Need to do something about that lighting though. Sorry. I messed around with this today, moved stuff around again. So that one needs to be something like that. That's better. So yeah, you might know this already, the few of you who has found their way in here already. This is about you guys. This is about your music and your music production processes. So we're listening to beats from people in the community. Anyone is welcome to send anything my way over to the email address that I should have somewhere over here. Boom, right up there. Send your beats to beatreview@accuratebeats.com. That's going to be amazing. Anyone is welcome to send anything in. And, I've heard about this in a few different places. People are actually charging for this type of service that I'm providing here. I definitely don't. Nothing like that. There's no way of skipping the queue or anything. Just send me an email and hope to get played. I'm going to do my absolute best to play as much as possible, but sometimes there are just too many submissions for me to handle everything. That's just what it is. And if that's the case, I'm sorry. That's just what it is. And again, I want to stress this. I failed to post this one as a scheduled kind of stream. So yeah, we don't have too many people right here right now. Need to update that one to get the proper number. And well, looks a little bit better. There we are. So the inbox is already, I already have a few submissions, but I'm definitely capable of having more, Last week we did an extra kind of stream talking about people's home studio setups, and that went on for like 4 hours of me just scrolling through pictures of people's setups, and that was so freaking interesting. People had all kinds of different setups, some huge, some tiny, some 10, 20 different pieces of gear all over the place, and someone just had like an MPC and maybe a MIDI keyboard. That was so fun, such a cool thing, and now I actually know what some of you guys in the chat room are working out of. That's beneficial and kind of cool. And that one now got too bright. Hold on, let me just... that feels more suitable for this kind of concept. Cool. James Rocky is in the house. Benjamin Button's in the house. Atmosphere is also in here. Lom Beats, Dirty 1200, Quiz 52, Keto Beats. I think I saw Vida in here too. Yeah, Vida's in here for sure. And even more people. Please review the beats of Av McCree, Bolo da Shill, Weaver, Alchemy, and the rest of the YouTube musicians. Yeah, that's not going to happen. I'm not that social to people, so I can't claim to know any one of those people, but I know them from their videos. Me and Av we have spoken a few times. I've never been in touch with Bolo, and I've been active in the chat room from some of the Weaver Beats streams, and that's pretty much it. So talking about their music and their beats will never happen. unless any one of them submits a beat to this show. Just because we're all on the same platform doesn't mean that I can go into Av's business and like talk about what he's doing and whatever. His business is his own until he chooses to share it. Integrity. Let's have a little bit of integrity. Will you upload the full live after it's done? Yeah, not as a video, but it's going to be left on the channel as a live stream, so you can watch this back after the fact. I actually know a lot of people do because, the time zone difference between me and people in the US is not really a beneficial one for me. So a lot of people are watching it in beforehand. A lot of people are watching it after the fact. Like in a couple of days or whatever. So it's going to be left on the channel as a live stream in its entirety. That's pretty much what I always do. So yeah. And that's not the right one. That is the right one. Up there. And when I have you guys in here, let's take the opportunity to actually go into my email to check out the number of submissions we have already. And start playing some beats. And also open up the calendar because I think I fucked up. I'm pretty sure I did. So, we did this special kind of episode during Halloween where I wanted beats in like a horror kind of theme. And we talked about doing that for Christmas too. But the next schedule for a beat review show is on the 29th, so after Christmas. If I do another one next week, you guys will only have a single week to do something, and that's going to be the 22nd. I celebrate Christmas on the 24th in Sweden, and a lot of people on the 25th. And I don't know if it makes I don't know if it makes a lot of sense to tell you guys to make Christmas themed beats over a week, which is also a week where people buy like a lot of Christmas gifts and your cooking and your wrapping gifts and whatever. So maybe we should have talked about that like a week ago, and I didn't. So I'm not sure how to do that. I think we're just gonna forget about that idea completely. Because I know I wouldn't be able to make a beat in a week with, of course I would, but this week where people have a lot of stress and stuff, not sure I want to put that shit on you. Not sure about that. But let's log into the email. Like so. Don't give me the two-step. No, it didn't. Okay, we already have beats. We have beats, people. For sure, we already have beats, and the last one came in like a couple of minutes ago, so that's fine. We don't need to worry. That's good. Accurate knows the secret handshake, Weaver told me. We all do. We're like YouTube influencers, Of course we know the secret handshake. That's not what I'm talking about. We should still have a little bit of integrity, but the secret handshake that's a given. Symphonic Beats is up for the 1 week challenge. Okay, cool. Yeah, give me a little bit of feedback on that in the chat room, please. If anyone else thinks that's an idea that could work, and do like an extra episode of the beat review in 1 week on the 22nd. In that case, if you guys want it, let's do it. But, if I'm going to be sitting here with like 2 submissions, it doesn't feel great. Muhammad will sample Mariah Carey. Yeah, I mean, we could always be a little bit more... we could have more inspiration than that. Just sampling Mariah Carey. Maybe it could be done in a cool way. I don't know. I know I wouldn't do that. I would do something different. Whatever. You know what? I need to get better at these things. So let me try to do one of the interact with the audience. Sure. Beat review Christmas theme for the 22nd. And I can't even spell review. Yes and no. Boom. Beat review Christmas theme for the 22nd. Yes or no? Please help me out. But as we are waiting for all the different votes to come in there, all the different votes, I'm just going to jump into the first track here. So this one on the 13th, whatever. This one came in. Hi, accurate. This is Ivan, and the attachment is my beat for review. Thanks. Ivan. That's not a name I recognize from this concept, so maybe a new submitter. And I haven't checked the audio if this is gonna work. And it doesn't. Good thing that we gave it a try. Advanced audio property, no, that's not it. Properties, restart capture, okay. Okay, guys, we should be good to go. The first beat should be able to be played. Yeah, 100%. There we are. And a little bit of Windows management. Window management. Like so. That gives me less of a headache. So, the first submission from Ivan. E-V-O-N. Yeah, the track is called The War. Let's go. Okay. So normally I play like 2 minutes. This was 2.5 because stuff happened in the track that felt kind of interesting to listen to in the context of the track. So normally I love to be in a position where I can say stuff like, yeah, that's a great piece of music to start out with. That's a great start for the show. In this case, I'm not so sure. Creatively, this track had a lot of really cool ideas, but something about the execution here fell kind of apart to me. Something about the pitch isn't really working the way I feel about it. And I don't like to be sour and kind of cranky in the beginning of a show, but we gotta keep it real too. The drum programming and like the main like pattern of the instrument is decent and solid, and I like the idea behind that. But something happens when all the big hits and everything comes in. Sonically, it's kind of cool, and it doesn't sound bad. But there's something about the pitch not really being in tune. And it came out even clearer when we had this kind of melody thing. I think it was over here. I mean, even if I tried to think about it in some kind of Arabic scale or something, it's still kind of off, isn't it? Yeah, to me, there's like two different scales going on at once, and stuff like that could work. And if this is done intentionally to kind of mess you up a little bit and be somewhat unconventional, I guess it's kind of cool. But I also think you took it a little bit too far with the experimentalism of the pitch, if that's a thing to say. Some people in the chat room are complaining about the sounds of the song. Everything sounds like general MIDI. And, well, I know what you're saying. I'm old school, and when I'm hearing stuff that sounds MIDI, the visual picture I get is like from a tracker, scrolling from up to down with like a bunch of note values. And if that's what I'm seeing, it feels like MIDI to me. Everything is MIDI. MIDI is not bad, but MIDI can be whatever. Many of the things I do in here is also MIDI, but it doesn't sound like MIDI. In this case, I think using the piano sound. The piano sound that low in octave without having any type of velocity changes, just going dun 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 dun. That's when it sounds really programmed, So we don't have a lot of musical, like human touches here that feels played or natural in that case. But there are many good ideas here. I need to point that out. The drum programming and the entire vibe of most things here is solid, but something is not working with the pitch. Some things do, and some things are off. So maybe you're working with some kind of scaler in a DAW or some type of software, and it's not 100% aligned. But yeah, sonically, one of the problems is, as Made So Well is pointing out, there's not a lot of variety in the velocities. There's a lot of, going full ham on things. Sometimes you need a little bit of subtle changes to happen. One piano note being less louder than another one and vice versa. The arrangement is cool though. We have these risers and this little breakdown and whatever. And to me, I mean, this is the most obvious example of the pitch not being right. Now I can't find the melody. It feels to me like that melody kind of works with the big hits, but not with the basic piano pattern that builds this bass line or whatever it is. Sonically, it's kind of cool, but it also falls apart in some places. So yeah, the humanity, a lot of people in the chat room are talking about the humanity of it, making it feel more vibey and human. And I'm stuck on this pitch value kind of thing. I think we're going to leave this one and move on to the next one. Not before looking at the poll, but still. This came in from Yvonne, and thanks a lot for submitting. I hope I wasn't too harsh on you, but I just got to keep it real too. And you sent the same thing twice. No, this is another track from the same person. I'm not gonna, no. One person gets one submission per show. That we have to settle some kind of threshold somewhere. Now. Okay, so we have a few votes on the poll. Beat Review Christmas theme next week, the 22nd. 91% says yes. 9% says no. And how many people? Okay, we have way more people in the chat. Way more people on the live stream that has replied to the poll. So let me just remind you for that real quick. If we want to do an extra episode of Beat Review Christmas theme, that's going to be next week. If that's a good idea, say yes in the poll. If that's a bad idea, say no in the poll. I really need this help. If we choose to not do this, I'm not going to do a live stream whatsoever. If we choose to do this, I'm going to have to live stream in a week, next Monday. That's fine by me, but I don't want to, help me out. More people in here that's not participating in the poll, please do. And we're going to play one more track. The next one comes from Dirty 1200. Here again with an old thingy. And we saw your studio setup last week, Dirty 1200. That's the one that had just a bunch of gear. An 808, a 1200, SP1200, SP12. I can't even, so many things. And that doesn't have to say anything about your music, but you have also submitted music before, so it's all good. But that studio of yours is impressive. Now, let's play this track from Dirty 1200 right now. That's kind of a crazy track for real. And I've met a lot of people in real life who kind of makes music like this. And a part of me thinks it's really cool, really intriguing, and like so much fun. And a part of me feels like, hey, you can't listen to that. It's just too much. Too distorted and too much in your face and too like kind of involved and whatever. So I'm not finding any space in there. It's too much. That's a part of me, but the other part of me, like the producer kind of part of me, also says, yeah, you went crazy. That's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun. You had a lot of fun, and the track is a lot of fun. And damn, a really solid kind of drum groove helps a lot, for sure. I mean, musically, it's a bunch of noise and a bunch of notes, and everything kind of goes together. But without that really heavy drum loop kind of stuff, this would have been like chiptune. That's kind of what it is. But over here, this is where it starts shining for me. No. That's the part. As soon as those drums comes in, I'm totally on board. That groove helps a lot. And that kind of makes someone like me who's like into kind of classic, traditional kind of beat making understand the entire thing. And I know that this is experimental and a little bit out there and whatever, but it's cool. I would have mixed this entire project differently to allow a little bit more space to come through, leaving a little bit more silent parts, I guess, more drums and less of everything else to kind of like emphasize that, yeah, this is the groove, this is what we're working with. And then kind of taking down all the stuff that's distorted and noisy and whatever to try to polish it up. But that's me. That's not necessarily what you need to do in this kind of genre. And, you know, it's not totally chiptune. It's still kind of a beat because we have this really strong drum section too. But honestly, this was 1.5 minutes long. I don't think I would manage to sit through an entire album of this. Like, 40 minutes of music that sounds like this would be a little bit much. But using this in kind of like a crazy video game, fighting a psychedelic kind of boss or whatever, this would work 100%. But yeah, the part with the kick and the snare, as Long Beats is pointing out, that's it. And also the vocal samples. Interesting work, a cool piece of music, a little bit much to listen to for a long period of time, but this is 1.5 minutes, so we're going to judge it for 1.5 minutes. Cool, interesting, and I could really see that studio of yours being used for something like this. So it all makes sense. It all makes sense. Dirty 1200, you've been all over the place, and this was your craziest submission so far. And, even though it takes a little bit of getting used to, and it's not the easiest thing to enjoy, impressive work and cool stuff, for sure. That's the back camera. Yeah, we're struggling with the lighting today. I made some changes. Nothing huge, but still. The colors on that one seems kind of okay. This is a little bit too saturated. I don't know. We're going to live with this. This is the lighting setup for today. This is what it's going to look like. So bear with me, even though that one is way too dark. well, no one cares. I know. Next beat challenge, boss fight music. Maybe that's kind of a cool concept. We're gonna do more concepts in the future. I promise you that. I promise. Just that I kind of messed up with the scheduling and the planning for the Christmas one. What did you guys say though? Now we have more votes, which is good. Definitely. More votes, and 88% of you are saying yes to a Christmas-themed beat review next week. 12% of you are saying no. So I'm gonna stop this one. Boom. Is there a concept? No, there's no concept today. It's open for anything today. But yeah, I ended the poll, and I think we have a result. I just got to check my calendar again, so I'm not promising anything that I can't hold. The 22nd. I mean, if we're doing it at the same time, it shouldn't kind of mess anything up with my scheduling. So sure, it's all done. You guys have settled that next week we're doing a beat review with a Christmas theme. We just decided. But yeah, and I understand that everyone can't submit and that we're going to have fewer beats and whatever. But still, you guys wanted me to do it, so let's fucking do it, right? Next week, beat review Christmas theme. That's going to be cool. And I'm going to do a better job this time to already tomorrow fix like some social media posts and whatever about that, so people actually know. Next week, beat review Christmas theme. And just take this with you. Christmas theme doesn't necessarily mean that you have to sample a Christmas song. That's not what it means. You can do pretty much whatever, but it needs to have some kind of Christmas holiday theme to the music itself. You know, if I made it, I would have done something like, no, that's not the right thing. If you're just adding something like this, it becomes Christmas. Just like that. Yeah, you can hear that. That's Christmas music. Whatever. Next week, Christmas theme. That's cool. That's cool. And when that's all said and done, let's move back to what we're actually here for. Too many windows. Too stupid of a guy. Dirty 1200. Thanks a lot for the last submission. That was a hell of a ride. Cool stuff. Let's move on. I'm not going to take it in order anymore. I'm just going to pick one. Let's do this one from Manuel. Props from Spain. Been following you since long time ago. Cool, thank you. Manuel, thanks for the long time support. And here we have a submission from you, which is a WAV file, 44 megabytes, and it's downloaded and it's pulled into... No, it's not. I'm lying. And it's pulled into VLC and we're ready to go. We want an accurate Christmas submission too. Yeah, I've never done that. You know, I've never submitted one of my accurate beats to this show. Why not? Kind of doesn't feel like that it makes sense for me to myself giving feedback to my own stuff, but you guys are here too, so maybe. And it's all a matter of scheduling and timing and stuff. Maybe, maybe not. Now we have this track from Manuel. Let's go. And that's the end of it. Damn, that's cool. And we played the entire thing, almost 3 minutes, and that's fine. This is, there's a lot of stuff to be said about this one. First of all, it sounds really, really good in most ways. It's nice and fat and heavy and also kind of punchy, and it has a little bit of everything. Aggressive and cool, and what's impressive to me here is that that a lot of people are getting that wrong. You're using a lot of distortion on the bass, on the lower frequencies, on the 808 or whatever it is, and all the stuff in the low register, and that's kind of cool. But being able to balance that between everything else being kind of crispy and nice, that's cool to me. Distortion on bass sounds is kind of a difficult thing because it can easily become overbearingly loud and too much. And you manage to find the balance here. And that has a lot to do with mixing, of course, but also gain staging and also the composition itself of the entire thing. And a really interesting rhythm section, and definitely a lot of really nice instruments on top of each other. The different flutes and the different kind of congas or percussive instruments, when you're trying to break down a track like this, I try to go through every single thing and define something that could be improved or changed or whatever. In this case, there's so much stuff going on and everything works really well musically. Taste-wise, when it comes to this track itself, I'm not huge on it. It's not really in my kind of ballpark. I realized that I'm moving to an even kind of darker, moodier, jazzier place today. But if something needs to be super punchy and like working in a video game or something, I mean, this is good stuff. And the bass is super, I guess it's super compressed, and also like, yeah, it sounds to me like you put a lot of work into the mixing on this one. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the percussion work on this one, for sure. That makes it more than what it could be without all that. If you wouldn't have done all the cool things with the percussion stuff, I would lean towards saying something like, yeah, it sounds like a track from Beat Saber, you know? And it doesn't, because it's more interesting than that with all the whatever sounds. Great stuff. 808s and sap fills. Yeah. The sap fill, if you want to call it that, it helps a lot. And it's cool. And sometimes a little bit too much delay or too much reverb for my taste, but in this genre, I guess that's kind of what you do, right? Well produced. That's the word for the day for this one. Well produced. Super worked on, precisely done. Done with a lot of precision, I guess, when it comes to the mixing and that kind of stuff. Nice stuff. I like this more than I should because of the style of it. The style is not kind of what I enjoy listening to, but I can definitely appreciate the craftsmanship on this one. And this came from, again, I left the window. I can't leave the window over there. I understand. I'm sorry. Manuel, who's also in the chat room, going by Belismano, I think that's you. Maybe wrong. Chris52, really like this one. It's dirty and finding it hard to sit still. So you want to dance to this one? Cool. And yeah, who said that? Some unique submissions today. For sure. Normally we don't have, we have a lot of stuff in the same kind of genre. Today, it's all over the place. Interesting. Thanks a lot, Manuel. Great work on that one, for sure. Let's move to this one. And there's a lot of different names. Let me just try to figure this out. Paesi. Yeah, this is from Paesi. Good morning, Accurate. So this one is from 2023, and the title is 09/08/2023, and it's placed as the title song of a German sneaker podcast called Sneakcast, with now over 300 episodes. Shout out to the boys. Not properly mixed, and one of my first beats with the MPC Live 2. Okay, cool. So this one works as the title song for a German sneaker podcast. That's interesting. That's cool. So we're going to have some sneaker vibes from this next track from Paesi. Nice. Let's just jump right into it. Kind of loud. I think I need to Let's go. Okay. So, yeah, of course, you know me, I love this kind of boom bappy drum groove that kind of like makes your neck snap. That's nice. And I imagine this one for like the intro of a podcast, playing this track and like doing some animated logos or whatever. And it I guess it works really well for something like that. That really makes sense. And even though stuff happened over the track itself, some stuff came in and some stuff got left out and whatever, you added this vocal sample and stuff. To me, this main becomes a little bit repetitive because it's always there. It's not bad. In fact, I think it's good. But if you could have built out like larger sections of this without that kind of chop, leaving it more spacious and, leaving some room in there, I think it would help the entire track in itself. And it's also 5 minutes long, and we heard like 2 minutes of it. Using it for a podcast, like a theme song, like an intro, awesome. But as an entire piece of music, it becomes repetitive. The snare drum is nice. The entire groove and everything is cool. And you have that vocal sample that kind of also makes it a little bit repetitive. But if you could leave that one in there and just take that major like piano harp kind of thing out, I think it would add a lot of dynamics to the arrangement in a way that would make it easier to listen to in the long run. And the bass line works so well with the groove and the drums and everything. I just want a little bit more volume of the bass line, I think. But my main point of criticism here is this in-your-face kind of... It's too much. Leave it in some places and just take it out in some places. This entire switch up is really cool, and it would have been even cooler without that main sample. Just taking it out in that section and introducing more of the vocals, would have been better. Gotta say. Yeah, okay, cool. Some people are pointing out that it sounds like high-tech, and it kind of does. It definitely has that high-tech kind of swing to it. And you know, the amount of swing in something like this and the way that snare drum hits with the rest of the groove, I think it's awesome. Feels soulful and beautiful in so many ways, but I can't let go of the fact that this main sample becomes repetitive. And that's cool. That could always be dealt with, or maybe not. It's from 2 years ago and probably made for this podcast or picked in like after the fact. However, I think for a show like that, this would be awesome. I think it works really well. I haven't seen the show or whatever, of course. But in that context, I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense more in that kind of context than in this kind of context. If that makes sense. So yeah, thanks a lot for this one. Thanks to Paisi, who has submitted before, and I really appreciate it. It's cool that we have this level of producers sending in their stuff. Who was that? Paisi? Yeah, but the email. I need to find the actual email. And boom. Marked as read. And the next one. Let's see if there's coming in more. Yeah. We have beats, my people. We have beats. Good. That's good. And the next one comes from Benjamin W. Benjamin Buttons. This is you, right? Made on the MPC 2000. New line layers. New line insert croissant here. Peace. Benjamin Buttons. Peace to you too. Something made on the MPC 2000 is always intriguing and cool. Let's have a listen.
First of all, attach the microphone to the receiver. Record, press these two buttons simultaneously. The big call is running a studio is pressing buttons.
It will be when I figure out which buttons to push.
The mixing board, with its thousands of mysterious buttons.
Why must there be so many buttons?
Friggin' people know you got rewind buttons.
Come on, you know what's on your button?
Well, I'll tell you what. You just mashed the buttons.
Just pressing some buttons.
And what are the buttons? Forget the buttons. Touch any buttons, Johnny.
Damn, Benj. That's a lot of work right there. So many different samples. It's kind of crazy. And even though I just heard it once and, you could spend a lot of time tracking things down and whatever, to me it sounded like a lot of samples from old movies, like old science fiction or horror movies or whatever like that. And that's always a nice touch. Always a cool thing. A part of me in the beginning of this one, I felt like, yeah, when it's going to start? When is like everything dropping out and the entire thing just goes? And then I understood that, yeah, that's not what happens. I can't sit around waiting for anything to happen, because this is what it is. This kind of walking kind of sensation of something not being like super punchy with a lot of rhythm like that, more like stiff and dum dum gum dum dum gum. I think about that as walking instead of like bouncing or dancing or whatever. To me, the grittiness and the dirtiness and like the rawness of this makes me think about. I always talk about company flow, but LP in general. That kind of dirtiness, a bunch of samples, making everything interesting and awesome. This is really cool. If this was like a track this is about 2 minutes long. As a 2 minute long track on like a beat tape, this is amazing.
Mysterious.
Just pressing some buttons.
What are the buttons? Forget the buttons.
And whenever you're working with that amount of samples, it's really easy to get something wrong. Something is slightly off key or something doesn't really work in the frequency spectrum. In this case, to me, it feels like everything is just in there. Fable says it's more like RJD2. Yeah, maybe it is. More like super choppy DJ kind of based music. Yeah, maybe so. I haven't listened a lot to RJD2 myself, but I know what you're saying. The guitar I chopped had like a march type percussion underneath, so I had to work that on the between layers with the horn stuff. I mean, it's impressive.
Touch any buttons, Johnny.
He still pushes buttons.
And you better lay off those buttons.
That's my guess. Next world, he's on the push button.
And that entire like theme of boom, 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 boom. Nice. If I found samples like that myself, I wouldn't be able to do this. I would have flipped it and made something completely different, I'm sure. Do I appreciate this? A lot. To me, this is, I don't have much feedback at all.
Buttons.
And that one sticks out, but it still fits.
Push my buttons.
Don't press any buttons. I don't know what the buttons do.
And let me press all those buttons. Push.
And that amount of samples is... RJD2 is a massive influence. Okay, cool. Maybe I need to listen to RJD2 more myself. I listened to stuff in that kind of genre a lot, and then I started making stuff like that myself, and I wasn't happy with it, so I tried to kind of stay away from it because I'm scared of inspiration, I guess. But yeah, really good stuff. Made on the MPC. No, made on the MPC 2000. Damn! Even more impressive. Benj, this was a fire submission. 100%. Yeah, the strings was from a KPM record and the guitar was from a European prog record. Yeah, so that's what you did. You just pulled from different samples, different records all over the place and just put it together. Takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort, is really hard to nail, and you did a fantastic job. Benj, I'll salute you, hands down. This was fire. Fire. Benj. You kind of knocked my socks off. This was impressive. I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to say. This was cool. Let's play a track from Mr. Vida Beats. Yo, long time no see. It has become difficult for me to be available on Monday nights. It sucks. Anyways, this is actually an old beat. I recently did again the mixing and mastering part. These are the hardest parts of producing for me. Still not sure about it. No one is. No one is sure about how to go about mixing and mastering. That's fine. Can't wait to have some feedback about both the composition and the technical part. Does it sound good? Peace, y'all, from Vida. Okay, an old track that you kind of went back to do a little bit of mixing and mastering, and you want to know if it's good, both the beat itself and the mixing. I think you pointed that out, didn't you? Yeah, the technical part. You know, judging amounts of compression and stuff is difficult like this. Even more difficult for you guys because you're getting a kind of low bitrate audio file from YouTube. That needs to be pointed out. But still, let's listen to Vida Beats and see what he came up with.
This is a toast to freedom.
Beats by Veda.
Yeah, that's a cool track. I kind of started adding some stuff here, playing for myself. You can't hear the audio of this. No, you can't. I feel like this is not bad, but it has something. It has something wrong about it. The firm would sit well on this. Yeah, maybe they would. What are you guys saying? Is there anything in the chat room I can pick up? Fable says I would filter the high end a bit. Well, you know what? Talking about the composition and the mixing all at once, in this case, it really, really makes sense. Because what I'm hearing is a really deep, subby bass note, or a few of them, but really extended bass notes. The strings, of course, and the drums. To me, again, just a few seconds. The problem, I think, I might be wrong here. Help me out. I think what I'm looking for here, or what I would suggest, is adding something more. Because the drums live all over the place when it comes to the frequencies, and that's just what drums are. It's a kick drum with a lot of bass, and a snare drum with a lot of mids, and hi-hats with high mids and whatever. Hi-hat pattern is cool. Drum pattern is cool in general. And then the string sample is beautiful and nice, and it has this cool contrast between the strings and the bass. But what I'm trying to say here is that frequency-wise, we have a lot of stuff going on in the lows, right? Which becomes, from you guys, I guess it's here. It can't be. Got to be over here. We have a lot of stuff in the bass frequencies, and then we have a lot of strings with a lot of high frequency content. And the space in between is kind of what I feel needs to be filled up with something. Not just a wrapper. No. I'm talking about maybe just a few basic piano chords, or I have this weird synth patch over here. Didn't even play a lot of chords in my case, just added a few notes that filled up the space. Not necessarily the note values from a musical standpoint, but the frequencies from a mixing kind of standpoint. Because it's nice and full because we have this really subby bass line, but it's also kind of empty in the mid-range. Drums and stuff, sure, but I still want something there to kind of create a foundation that goes together with the bass line more than goes together with the strings, because they live their own little life and they're beautiful as they are. It could be a piano, it could be some kind of synth patch that maybe does a little bit of an arpeggio kind of pattern, maybe not. Just something in the mid-range that kind of solidified. Don't know that word. Something in the middle that just fills up the space and makes it more full. Harmonics would do it. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Some kind of harmonics, because everything works from a pitch kind of standpoint. The bass line and the strings work, they sound good, but something more. Fable says, try phasing the strings and add some LFO filter. So add some modulation and some movement. Maybe. But what I'm talking about is something simpler than that. Just a different element. Could be a vocal sample, piano, whatever like that. Hannibal Actor says it sounds a bit sad. I guess that's kind of what it's going for. The sample feels 64 BPM, the drums feels double. Yeah, but that's like the bounce kind of thing. That's cool for what it is. What are you saying about this? Solidify. That's the word. Made so well. Thank you. That's what I feel is kind of lacking. The mixing here is it sounds good, but it feels a little bit empty in the middle. That's an easier way to say it. Yeah, I think a normal kind of like a normal grand piano would work the absolute best here, honestly, because a piano and strings, you know, a lot of people play piano and strings together. And honestly, I'm not talking about these like super fancy, like going all over the keyboard, playing a lot of notes at once. Just a few things that adds that kind of frequency, but also that adds, yeah, I got it. I think I have a little bit of an idea here. This element that I'm talking about needs to add attack. Not necessarily percussive sounds. If we stay on the idea of using a grand piano has a lot of attack to the notes, and that's what I feel could be beneficial to this track in general. Something that adds attack and punch to, not punch, but right now the bass line is doom, do 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 doom, do do doom, right? And the strings goes. Everything has kind of a slow attack. There's no sound in this entire track except from the drums that has some type of attack to the sound. And a piano would do that. A piano would add some pling, plong, pling, and that's what I think you need, together with filling the space in the frequency spectrum. I think that makes sense. I think that's a good point, a good piece of feedback, actually. I do. Because everything is kind of extended and kind of nice and flowy, and that's nice, but we need something, just a few elements, a few notes here and there that adds a sharper attack. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, and I'm sticking to it. Vita Beats, this is good. This is a good track, and it sounds good. What I'm looking for is just some kind of way to improve it, and I think I got my point across. Good work, though. Good work. Not saying anything else. This is good work, a solid track. It could be improved by adding something like that. And I've talked too much about one thing. Let's move along. Let's move into Mohammed. Let's see if there's another. Okay. Mohammed, one of these. I need to open it. This is Google Drive. Open with. No, I don't want to open with. I want to download. Allow me to download the file. Come on. Yes, there we are. And the message goes like this. This is me again, the beginner beat maker. You review this sample-based beat. I listened to you, could comments and suggestions when I submitted the previous beat. Maybe you can't remember it. I hope I applied some of what you said here. Okay, so you submitted a beat another time and I said some stuff about it and you applied those tips and tricks to this. Is this going to be the same track or a different track? I don't know. I'm not sure I fully understand, but I don't care. Let's play this one. By Mohammed, who is in the chat room, I think. And if we've heard this track before, let's listen to it again and see if it's better than what we can remember from the last time. Whatever. Let's go. Okay, cool. So we haven't heard this track before. No, this is a different one, and this is a different track, and you took some of my criticism from the last one and applied it to this one. Awesome. Now, this is kind of cool. Using samples like this could be really, really effective, and a lot of people has done it in so many great ways. Not this sample in specific, but yeah. First of all, what kind of sticks out here is this. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to find it, but somewhere we had this right there. Because a similar thing has been used in a really huge track, I can't not think about it. I think that's a 50 Cent track. It's not Candy Chop, but it's one of those from that kind of genre. And this is a Middle Eastern sample, as you're pointing out, and it's cool. What I think this is pretty decent. It's not a throwaway beat, but I think there's some stuff that needs to be thought about in terms of. I'm imagining you're using like an MPC or something like this, and you have this main sample on the first, that one, that one. If you're going back to that, in this case, to that pad or to that sample chop, on every single one on the beat, like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. No matter how much stuff you put in between those notes, it's going to feel repetitive. Because the same note, the same sample chop, the same pad or key or whatever you're using comes back on the first beat of every single loop. So no matter how much stuff you do, if you have the wow, 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 it's always going to be wow on the one, which easily becomes repetitive and a little bit too much. And it's obvious to me that you have more stuff, more interesting stuff in the sample here that you're using. My suggestion would be to use more of the different chops more times, if that makes sense. More often, Maybe think about the track. Everyone doesn't need to do what I do, but it's just my kind of perspective. I always think about things in 4-bar loops. So if you have the same sample on the one and on the first one, on beat 1, 2, and 3, do something different for the fourth one. Or use it for the first one, something else for the second one, and again on the third one, to get a little bit of variation. Because even though you have a lot of different things in here, as a listener, I tend to grab onto that wow, 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 wow. You know what I'm saying? And that's on that pattern. That's different, but on the other pattern, wow. I know saying wah is maybe not the nicest thing, but I think you kind of know what I'm talking about. I did it at the 8th bar. Yeah, and to me, that's not often enough. that one, well, that gives me a different kind of feeling. But if you have yeah, that's maybe the only point of criticism I have here. It becomes repetitive, even though you have a lot of different samples to kind of switch it up, and you're doing it, but I think you could do it more and better. Flip the sample differently because you have all these different chops, but it's all about finding a way to kind of construct that into something that doesn't feel as repetitive as this. It's good. It has a lot of vibes to it, and it feels like a G unit track, as you guys are pointing out. And I can't stop thinking about 50 Cent or all the other ones, Lloyd Banks and whatever their names are. Fable says it's a nice rap beat, and I'm sure it is. Giving this to a rapper, it could make sense. It could be an entire thing. But someone like me with an ear for production, that's not something I'm comfortable saying. Someone like me with an ear for production, fuck me. Someone like me who makes beats, I can't not notice that we're using the same note on the first beat every single time. You know? And that whole roundabout, wah, 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 it feels like 50 Cent in maybe not a great way. Put a reversed chop in there, easy ear candy. Sure, clearly not from 50 Cent, but there's a G unit or Ram Shaker vibe, yeah. I think this is good in general, but again, I can't stress enough. Using the same sample on the downbeat for every single loop, for every single beat, becomes repetitive. It just does. Do you need to switch it up and like change the pitch to something else? Maybe. Or maybe you just need to think about the beat in 4-bar sections or 8-bar sections and make sure that it doesn't feel repetitive. It's going to be repetitive to you as you make it, but that's just the nature of making beats because it's loops. But this is good. This is good. This has a lot of potential, and that's why I'm going on about ways to improve it. Not because I want anything bad, just I want the best for you. And I think this could be improved by trying to zoom out and get like a bird's eye view on the track. Is it repetitive? If so, what's repetitive about it? And to me, repeating the same note on every single downbeat is what makes it repetitive. So let's leave that to the side. It's a little bit repetitive, and that's what it is. Using a sample like this, creative and cool, and it works with the drums and definitely with the bass. That's all good. Made So Well said it himself. Just a little touch of the variety would do a lot. Yeah. And because we have sections like that, where nothing goes in between, it's just the same bum and bum and bum. And then you're using it together with the different chops. That kind of destroys the entire magic about the arrangement. Am I too harsh? I don't think I am. It's good. But I think you could make it better by applying some of these things. But we are on a pretty high level now. We're not talking about, junk, crappy beats, whatever. we are on a high level talking about well-produced music and good beats. Let's move on to this one from Polymath. High accurate Polymath here and a file. Cool. Let's download the file to my hard drive, putting it in VLC, and here we go. From Polymath. Yeah, that's so cool. Nice and jazzy. Someone mentioned Tribe Called Quest and Q-Tip. Yeah, 100% that kind of vibe. But maybe with a little bit of a more modern kind of touch to it. Really good stuff. This is really good stuff. I would have mixed this differently, giving the drums a little bit less space and maybe the piano sample a little bit more space in the mix. But, you know, that's not necessarily the right move to do. So many different samples, the different piano hits together with the Rhodes piano, together with the brass, whatever that is, saxophone, clarinet, whatever. Beautiful. Nice and vibey, and it just works in the genre. Yeah, I love this. And you know, it's just nice and laid back. It's not fun. It's not serious. It's not sad. Maybe it's serious. It's not sad. It's not fun. It's somewhere in between. Nice and, you know, the main word here is vibey. This is just good stuff. A little bit lo-fi, but also feels kind of... With this amount of jazz in something, I'm always going to love it. Easy listening jazz with those kinds of like hard-hitting, a little bit grungy and dirty drums. Beautiful. Maybe taking the drums down a little bit would balance it differently, but yeah, I don't know. All those small twists and turns just makes the listening experience really fun. But if I had to point something out, I would love and some nice ear candy too. But yeah, the more I listen, the more obvious it is. A bass line. Like lower pitched Rhodes pianos has a lot of low mids and some low frequencies in there, and it fills up the space. That's why it's not apparently obvious that it needs a bass line. But I think doing a little bit of scooping out, just taking out a little bit of the low frequencies from the Rhodes piano would allow you to have space to add bass. Doesn't need to be this super jazzy upright bass. It could be, but it doesn't have to be. Could also be a super low subby bass that just allows you to kind of settle down and land on, yeah, this is the bass line, this is the softness, this is the end of it all. But yeah. That kind of drum groove and all the emotions and all the vibes in here deserves a bass line. I think it does. Puerto Ricanism twists and turns. Interesting way to phrase it. Yeah, but I mean, it's nice and solid and it's loop based and it's obvious, but there's also twists and turns. Like ear candy, a little bit of over there, a little bit of over there. Beautiful. But a bass line? Am I the only one? No one else says anything about it. Fable says something about a half-open hi-hat. No, an open hi-hat halfway. Could work. Sure, a bass line could add so much. Not that it needs it. This is good. This is, love it. But I'm looking for ways to kind of make something, Polymath, thanks a lot for the submission. Right up my alley, super vibey stuff, jazzy and chef's kiss. Bassline, give it a try. I would give it a try, just to see if it works. Sometimes it doesn't, so maybe you don't need it, maybe you do. Just saying. But no one is confirming what I'm saying, that it needs the bassline. Am I wrong? I might be wrong. I'm wrong sometimes. I'm wrong most of the times. But yeah. Klangström, some great tunes today. Yeah, for sure. Made so well says it didn't even notice there wasn't a bass line. I'm pretty sure there's not a bass line here. Yeah, I can't hear a bass line. Again, the Rhodes piano, low octave like that, fills up the space. But still, Okay, Symphonic definitely wants to hear it with a bass line. I hear a nice bass through line, now that you said it. Yeah. Sometimes I point out stuff that's actually making sense. Sometimes not, but sometimes I do. Time flies today, guys. It's only 15 minutes left, and we haven't done so many tracks. So let's speed it up and let's play a few more. Puerto Ricanism, who is speaking a lot in the chat room, also sent a beat. No sample, just MIDI I wrote and some drums I programmed using pads. Thank you. Thank you for submitting. Dreamland instrumental.mp3 goes into VLC. Play button gets hit right now. Yeah, guys, I gotta boost the volume on that one to make it kind of make sense. Might still be a little bit silent, quiet, but I'm gonna mute my mic so you can raise your volume if you want to. If you increased your volume, maybe it's time to take it back down again. Because now I'm going to talk to the mic and it's going to sound like this. So, yeah. Well. So, Fable555 said, okay, I'm bored now. And I got a little bit of that feeling too. It's not the most intriguing piece of music, but everything doesn't have to be super exciting to be good. This is good. And he also pointed out that it has a lot of potential, and it definitely does. Now, I am a little bit partial when it comes to the whole doom ka da doom da doom ka doom ka da doom da doom ka. That kind of pattern. You know, for like club music in 2005, that's what everyone did. Boom ka da doom ka doom ka da doom da doom ka. In this case, it feels, I don't know if it's, you could have done something different with the drum pattern, but whatever. And also, I don't love this snare drum at all. Not even in this kind of context, even though I know what you're going for. I think like a normal kind of rim shot sample on kind of a low pitch would work better. I don't know. It's nice. There's no samples. It's just MIDI notes, and it still sounds kind of like samples, that vocal thing, which is not a bad thing. This is a good piece of music, but I don't think it stands by itself as an instrumental. If you had a rapper, a really interesting rapper with interesting lyrics and an interesting flow to kind of complement the entire thing, I think this is really good just as it is. It's supposed to be a little bit minimalistic and kind of dark and moody and mysterious, and that's cool. Love that kind of aesthetic that's going on. But it's something about it that feels a little bit stiff. It's also kind of quiet, so it needs to be brought up in the mix, kind of bringing out the punchiness of it and whatever, and I think that could help a lot. Compression and limiting is not just increasing the volume, it also increases like the intensity of things, and I think this one kind of deserves to be treated in a kind of extreme way to become punchy and out there. And, you know, it's not finished. I guess you haven't done all the parts. So imagine this being like a punchier mix, more in your face. I think this is cool as it is. But there's something lacking in terms of the style and the personality or whatever. If this was for a song with a rapper, I could imagine someone like, you know, the old Eminem. Think of a track like Renegade with Jay-Z. Rap like that on this one. That layered clap is like my favorite thing. Yeah, I'm sorry. We don't agree on everything, and that's fine. But there is a lot of interesting harmony going on here. Playing the same notes in different octaves, like leaving things. It's not, I don't know what it is. It's just not. And that one, it's a nice touch. This is good in so many ways. The potential here is super high, but there's something about the end product here that kind of misses the ballpark in some way. Really hard to say what it is, and I'm doing a really crappy job of being like a beat review kind of guy in this case because I don't know exactly what it is, but it's something that makes it sound a little bit flat. A little bit uninteresting. Maybe it's just a combination of the punchiness of the mix and the volume, I guess. Maybe the sample selection in some cases. It's good. It's good. What you're saying is valid. Really, I hear what you're saying. It doesn't stand alone. A little bit. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying, but I also want to be able to say something more constructive and more hitting than just, it's not that fun. You know, I don't want to be that guy, but in this case, I guess I am. That's kind of beautiful, honestly, it is. But if everything is done in MIDI here, I would try to do something with a little bit more movement. Not just in terms of LFOs and whatever, back and forth. An actual arpeggio of something. Going like... Nah, that's not a good idea, but... It needs some kind of stronger element. Some type of melody, some kind of arpeggio pattern of something that's more like upfront. I don't know, something that just spices it up. Judge me hardly. No, harshly. Judge me hardly. Oh, that's what I'm doing. I think it needs more notes that's distinguishable. More of a melody somewhere, more of a top line, more notes, more fun, more energy, more personality. Giving a piece of music personality is not, you can't just press the personality button. I know, it's more abstract than that. But somehow I think it needs kind of like a solid melody somewhere that would bring the entire thing to a different kind of level. That's as harsh as I'm gonna be. And also, replace the snare drum. I don't like it. A top line, that's my best idea. I'm not sure how it would sound or what kind of instrument, but a top line kind of melody that makes the entire thing into more of a theme, gives the entire thing more of a theme. Okay. I said we're going to move on and be faster, and then I got stuck on this one. I kind of just suck at my job. That's what it is. We have a submission from Noah. No, title is Now Liners. Sent from my iPhone. From the email address, I know we've had you before, but whatever. That's not the name you're using now, I guess. It's Jamie C. Jamey and Z. Jamie C. Let's go.
1, 2, 3.
That's not me. That just happened. Well, Jamie C. The track is called Flip with Horns Only. And I already kind of said this about another submission. This is different. I'm not going to say this is repetitive in the same way as the last submission we talked about. Not the last one we talked about, but the other one we said kind of similar things about. Hold on. That's a burp you couldn't hear. To me, this is not repetitive. The word here is monotone, I think. Again, we're using kind of the same note, the same sample chop or whatever on the first beat of every bar. And it becomes kind of monotone. In this case, in the long run, you added some stuff to kind of make it more, I don't know, mysterious and kind of experimental and different like that. And also the drum loop here is super solid. So it becomes different, but we are kind of having the same, what I feel could be an issue, using the boom, dum dum ba dum da bum ba dum boom, bum ba da ba da ba bum ba dum boom. Monotone is the word.
1, 2, 3.
What note is that? somewhere between a D and a D sharp. We could play that note over the entire track and it just hides away. It just fits in there. So some type of progression could be needed because it feels kind of monotone. It has a nice vibe to it, and if that's what you're going for, that's what it is. But I can't deny the fact that I want something more in terms of the bigger perspective here. I just want more. And that 16 note hi-hat pattern is so nice and it helps a lot. But I just want a section here that's different, you know. And since this main note that I'm talking about is so low and it has more stuff coming in, sometimes it kind of crashes with the kick drum and it becomes just muddy and kind of doesn't feel, I don't know. It's not bad. The drum pattern is totally the best thing about this one by far. I can't get my chat window out of here. I can't see the chat. I can only see like 3 messages in the chat because I have this thing. Can I get... And there we have a super chat from James Rocky. And I had another one before too. Let's mention that one real quick. I just skipped through it. No, and I can't find it. It's disappeared. I think I got a super chat from Made So Well too, which is cool. So thanks a lot for for the super chat. This track is nice. The drums is definitely in the pocket, as someone points out, and it's really cool. But it's in its entirety, it's a little bit monotone with the loop, and it's interesting that you're adding the melody section on top of it. That piano feels like, where did that come from? And I like it. And we've had music from you before under a different name. And if this is your way of kind of stepping out of that style to do something different, I salute you. That's cool. I'm trying to do the same, even though I haven't showed any of it. I'm right now personally, I'm in this creative space where I'm kind of, not intentionally, but I'm kind of transforming my style and my sound from one thing to something really similar, but that's different to me. Might show something of that later on in the next year, but whatever. If that's what you're doing, that's just cool. Keep doing it. In this, it works, but it does need a little bit more notes to say it bluntly. Now it's 1 minute past 10. Time for me to go cozy mode. Not like that though. Cozy mode is that. Dark mode, cozy mode, whatever. This is what we're doing. Let's take a few more submissions because there's a lot of stuff that hasn't been played, and I'm sorry, stuff might not be played. Let's go to Lom, L-O-M-M, Lom Beats. My beat for tonight, not sure about the crash in the hook in the middle. Yeah, I'm gonna say it right now. We're not gonna like the crash in the middle. Crash cymbals is really hard to work with. Let's lower the volume again and play Lom Beats. That's nice. And now we have a counterpoint to talk about, because he's also doing the same thing, but he does it in a way that makes sense and is, in my book, a better way of using it. Instead of using the same kind of sample on the 1, he's using it on the 3, depending on how you count, on the snare. This whole bang that has this horn sample inside of it, and it comes back a lot, but not too much. That's what I'm trying to go for here. That one. You see what I did there? Repeated it 3 times and then went in that camera. Repeated it 3 times and then went into a different place. So bam, dum 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 bam, ba dum 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 bam, ba dum 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 da dum da dum. That makes the entire difference. The entire difference. Repeating it 4 times in this case would be, the same thing. It's repetitive and becomes monotone. But when you have this switch up at the end to something else, musically speaking, a different chord, a different note, whatever, it just feels different. And sometimes he just doesn't use it, and sometimes he replaces it with something else. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Using the same sample a lot could be done as long as you're replacing it in the places, in the spots that matters. And I mean, we're talking about some super heavy and punchy drums here that, pulls way above their own weight in the best way possible. And this beat could be, I could have said this about this one too, that it feels a little bit flat and kind of uninteresting. But then, just the tiniest thing, this syncopated click kind of, I don't even know. That goes down in pitch in a really cool way. Like it. Like it. And the horn thing in the background, that we will. That's also smart. Repeating the thing for, one of those Pharrell kind of don't, but half time. Well, this is cool. It's interesting. Could you have done more with this one? I think you could. We've had a lot of beats from you, long beats, and you're talented and good at what you do. Could you have done more with this one? I think you could have. But all of the ideas you put in here works, and they're cool and they're good. And that syncopated kind of pitch goes down in pitch kind of nice touch, for sure. Could we have seen like a proper bass line that kind of counteracts to the melody thing with the hits and everything? Maybe we could. Maybe not. I don't know. Puerto Ricanism. I saw you asking before, and let me just, you said it better over here. Accurate, or ac. You kind of be in a primo type space with sampling and scratching. What did you think about the album he just dropped with Nas? My honest opinion about that entire album, I haven't heard a single thing. I just haven't gotten there yet. And this is me being kind of full of myself, I know, but I'm making beats right now. I mean, I'm making a lot of beats for a project that I'm doing under a different name. It's going to be talked about someday or whatever. And I'm trying to, not that I don't love my kind of primo inspired sound that I've built up over the years, but I'm also doing other stuff. Darker, more moody stuff, lower BPM, not as many hard-hitting drums and whatever. I'm working on this project that's going to be way darker. And I'm listening to stuff that inspires that kind of side of me more than I'm listening to, Gangstar and whatever, because I'm trying to evolve and develop and change stuff up because I want to. So right now, listening to that album with Primo and Nas, I really want it. I really want to listen to it. It's, I want to go there, but I'm also a little bit afraid to get back into that vibe of doing that kind of stuff. I'm going to do that too. I'm going to be making stuff in both kind of genres. And honestly, they're not that different from one another, but I'm just, in my mind, I'm separating the two processes. Primo kind of stuff, hard-hitting boom bap, and the more darker, melodic stuff. Think about it as Didi Premier on one hand and maybe someone like The Alchemist on the other hand. So right now I'm in my Alchemist kind of phase. So listening to this new really exciting album with Premier and Nas, I'm trying to avoid it just to not be too much back in there. And it's, it's kind of crazy, and my beats and my creativity doesn't matter that much. But for me, it kind of does. So that's my answer to that. But I think it's crazy. He made an entire album with Nas. That's, two of my heroes. But not right now. Long beats, great work. I don't have a lot of bad stuff to say, but I think you could do more with this one. As far as I know you and your beats, you could have done more, and I think you can add more to this one. Maybe a bass line, maybe not. I don't know. Let's move on from long beats to someone called Frederick. Or maybe there's an actual tag somewhere. Just some recent quick and dirty beat I made. Trying to use sample as little as possible and maximize the digital workflow. Cool. From Frederick. Beat for review. Let's go. In there. Frederick, let's go. Oh, my bad. I didn't catch that. The file is silent the last 20 seconds. This is an interesting piece of music. It is. We talk about drums and bass lines and samples and whatever. This is no samples. This is something else. What stands out about this one to me is the punchiness of the drums. Because drums, a snare drum could be like a rim shot or a super like psh. In this case, it's kind of a psh, but it's really short, which makes it effective in this kind of tempo and this kind of groove. And the backbeat hi-hat. I mean, the groove here is cool, and the groove is what catches me in this one. The drums and the feeling and the groove and the swing and the tempo. Yeah, it's fun. The samples that you choose and everything in here is a little bit out there, a little bit weird. Someone like me is immediately like, yeah, is that like what's that called? For yeah, I need to fire it up. The Mini Freak has this vocal thing that makes like vocal noises. I wonder if it's that or something similar that makes this whole that yay. I think it is. It's used in a kind of cool way, but it kind of makes me forget about all the nice harmonics and the nice kind of melody underneath it all, because it takes my attention. But the bass line, the whole boom, bam, boom, bam, boom, bam, boom, bam, boom, bam. It's nice. It's like a walking bass line, but still kind of not. The bass line and the drums works really well. The different noises on top of it kind of makes it distracting a little bit, but it's nice. It's cool, and it's a minimalistic, fun piece of music. But I wonder what it is. Is it designed for a video game or for a jingle, for a rapper? Is it supposed to be an instrumental? Hard to kind of wrap my head around. I mean, it's cool. It is cool. And the backbeat groove on the hi-hat does so much to this. Adds a lot of coolness to it. There's not a lot of stuff to say about this one. Yeah, it's a robot vowel in a drum computer. Yeah, that's pretty much what the Mini Freak does too. If you put it in I can't remember the name of it. Phonetic? Whatever. It's a robot vowel in a drum computer. Yeah, and it's fun. Maybe in this case it plays a little bit of in this case maybe it takes too much space and plays too big of a part in the track itself, because it's a different kind of sound and a different type of noise, so my mind is stuck on it. Yeah, it's called Formant. Is it Formant? Formant filter? Me and words, I'm from Sweden, so I don't know shit. Honestly, I think this beat needs something else. Something more, something shiny, something that kind of brings out something crispy, something shiny, something bright. There's not a lot of brightness. But the groove and the bass, talk box vibes, yeah, a little bit of that too. It's synthetic vowel sounds. Yeah, it is. And I'm not sure how it's made. I'm not sure how it works. I just know what it sounds like. And it sounds cool as kind of a detail. In this case, I think you're using it as pretty much the main instrument. And it kind of works, but yeah. Sometimes you can get this sound with a bit reducer. Sure, bit reduction to stuff can always bring out a little bit of that kind of quality, but in this case, I think it's cool. It's cool and interesting, but it doesn't really feel like a finished piece of music. No hate though, no hate. This is cool. And this was submitted by Fable. Cool stuff. Love the sonics of it. The sonics and the groove. And we are getting even more submissions. And I'm not gonna play the more recent ones because that doesn't feel fair. It's already overtime. It's already cozy time. Lights out in the studio and everything. Let's do this one too. From C Bar. Peace Accurate. I just found out about your beat submission via your live. Hopefully there's still time to submit. There was. Thanks for the work that you do to keep us inspired. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. C Bar. With a file name that's all crazy. Still ill. Mix down 4. High balanced. Well, let's go. That's loud. I'm sorry about that. I have no way of knowing this in beforehand. C bar on a lower volume. Let's go. Yeah. I mean, now again, we have to like distinguish one thing from the other, right? Musically, this is amazing. I love this. This is really, really good. Musically, the sample, okay, 2 sections, the music and the sound. You know, not just the mixing, but the sound, because I think the mixing here is broken somehow. The musical aspects of all this, good. The chops for the sample and the drums and everything, just, chef's kiss. I love it. It's really good. Nice and soulful and, you know, has a proper kind of old schooly kind of hip hop vibe to it. I love it. I love it. But the sound, I'm not going to go as far as saying that the mix is completely broken, but kind of almost. Almost. The snare drum with like the tambourine, beautiful. Beautiful. If I'm just gonna go on and take a guess here, I think you had like a soul sample and you put it through stem separation to kind of take the part you wanted and just used it. And somehow stuff with the frequencies got all twisted up. It's carved out, someone says. Yeah. What you have here is kind of like a really unbalanced mix for the sample itself, just in itself. There's a lot of high frequencies. There's not a lot of body. There's not a lot of bass. There's no mids to speak of. Maybe it's stem separation. Maybe it's just heavy filtering. Maybe it's just a sample of really bad audio quality. I don't know. But in this case, the musical idea comes through for someone like me who makes beats himself, and I know what it is you did, and it's beautiful, but I can't get past the audio quality here. And I don't think it's just you not mixing it right. I think the source material here is too bad. I mean, the kick drum is all messed up too somehow, with the frequency being like too distorted and taken down and whatever. I don't even know. And the vocal chop. If this sounded as good as it could, I would love this with all my heart. In this case, something just fell apart. There's not enough mids or low mids, high bass, whatever you want to call it. Too much of the treble and too little of everything else. And you're not compensating by adding other stuff too either. It's just the drums and that and the bass. It sounds good. No, it sounds bad, but it is good. It's good, but it sounds bad, if that makes sense. Thanks for the feedback. I think it was the mastering suite I used. Yeah, sometimes if you use like, a mastering suite like Isotope Ozone or something from Waves, or you're using like an online service that does everything for you, I don't know, things can go south. Sometimes less is more when it comes to compression and kind of boosting the volume and finishing something. Sometimes all you need is just adding a brick wall limiter to raise the volume and it's all good. Sometimes you need to go all crazy with compression and whatever. It's on a case-to-case kind of basis. In this case, it's too bad. It's too bad. Because the track itself is so good. So good. And we're going to leave that one right there. C-Bar, I think you did a fantastic job, but something fell apart. If it's the mastering suite and something went south, sure. It was an online service. I just sent the original bounds from MPC 2000. Yeah, I think that does it. I think that's what it is. If you have something that's, these like online mastering services, some of them are great, but they are 100% hit or miss. Sometimes it can work fantastically, and sometimes it just spits out something like this. It's hard to say, and it's that unpredictable that I would say, just like Benjamin Button says, you gotta stop using that site. Yeah, maybe you do. Or maybe you want to try a few different ones and kind of listen to them. Make the track one day, then send it to the mastering services, like as many of them as you can find if you have to use one of them. Ideally, you shouldn't, but whatever. I understand. If you want to do it, send it to multiple ones and just listen carefully to the different suggestions you're getting. Because you can't just rely too heavily on it. But thanks a lot for sending it in. The beat behind all those kind of issues with the audio, the beat behind all that is good. 100% good. And that was also C Bar. Thanks for the feedback. I think it was the mastering suite. That's a super chat for $50. Okay, thank you. You don't need to do that. I really, 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 really appreciate it. But $50, you do not have to do that. $50? Just like that? Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You don't have to. I do appreciate it, but you don't have to. Damn. I almost missed a $50 super chat. Sorry and thanks. Accurate, what do you charge for mix master? I don't do any of that. You're asking the wrong guy. I am, as we know, completely deaf on one ear, so I can't make anything like that for anyone else. I don't have the balls to do it. C-Bar, I love what you're doing. I love what you're doing. Sending me $50. Thank you. Thank you. And now I feel bad because we have a lot of beats to go through. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12 more beats to go through, and we're not going to do it. We're going to do one more. One more. So I'm sorry. There's a lot of people who aren't going to be played today, but we're going to do this again next week with a Christmas or holiday theme. It's going to be cool. Fable with the €3. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Don't feel obligated to do this. Giving me money at all is not necessary for this. I do appreciate it, but don't go crazy, guys. I think we're gonna go for one more track, as I said, and someone seemed really. Who was that? Please rate mine so I know if it's good or not. If it's a 2-in-1, I send it as a subject. Yeah, this is something from, I guess it's that guy. Binary Infections in the chat. Let's actually go with that one. I hope it's worth a coffee there in Sweden. Yeah, €3 is a coffee, but since YouTube takes like half of it, not so much, but yeah. Billy Pads, how many beats have been played? That's a good question. Yours has been played, I know that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 beats has been played. So, we're not going to do 13 more. We're going to do one more. From this guy. Google Drive. Sometimes that doesn't work. Hold on. And it's a video. Is it a video or was that kind of preview thing just a video? Impossible to say. And it doesn't download. Try again. Untitled. Now something got downloaded. Yep, it's a video. Can I play the video in VLC the way I want? I should be able to. Or is it a virus? Okay. The video plays. So I'm going to have to minimize that over there. And then start the playback from over there. That works. Whew. So Fable, yeah, €3, even after YouTube takes their part. I'm gonna allow myself to have a cup of coffee at home for that money and buy like whatever. It works. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. This track came from, let's see who it was. Binary Infections. It's an MP3. Yeah, it sure is. It's an MP4 video. Maybe this isn't even you. Maybe I'm confused. We got 2 emails from this guy, and now my Safari window is all gone. Hold on. There we are. 2 emails. The first one with this video file, and the other email from the same guy. My indie pop type beat really sucks. Okay, but if you feel like it really sucks, do you want any type of feedback on it? Who knows? We're gonna play this one. And we have some volume issues. Let's crank it. Cool. And that's the end of it. Apparently not the guy I was trying to play, but still another guy. And I saw this entire video thing from the project playing in the DAW, and it's all MIDI. So the guitar and the bass and everything is apparently like virtual instruments and whatever. And we're not gonna, I'm not gonna go there. That's totally fine. Sweet sounding, like nicely produced pop kind of music. I don't hate it. I don't love it. It feels like one of those genres that, like, yeah, if you play the chords and you allow the virtual instruments to do like all the strumming and all the rhythms and everything, it's gonna come out as music. And this was music, enjoyable and kind of nice, kind of fun. Stylistically, it's not huge. It's not. And since that was a video file, everything here got all messed up. Show windows. And of course, there's a lot of like actual played MIDI notes here too, so it's not just like auto-generated by virtual instruments. Not at all. This is more than that, and it's cool. Immediately, I feel like the snare drum is way too loud in terms of the mix, but everything feels nice and polished and kind of nice and friendly. And, there's a lot of funk in the guitar and the bass, and there's not as much funk in the drums. So there's a little bit of a mismatch going on, but it's nice and friendly, and friendly and nice and kind of fitting for a commercial, Come Come to Accurate's Pizzeria, where we have everything from a margarita to a chili cheese pizza. It's one of those tracks. It feels commercial, it feels nice and happy. But honestly, even though it's technically kind of perfect, a part of me is lacking a little bit of soul, a little bit of emotion. It just feels happy-go-lucky. It's just me and my band is just going dum dum da dum 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 da da dum dum. Not bad. Not bad, but like civil, friendly, nice, whatever word I want to use. Hey. You're listening to Accurate Beats or whatever. It's a bit boring, maybe. It's a little bit soulless. It's, I mean, in this kind of context, it's too nice and too polished and too perfect. And it doesn't leave space for the imagination whatsoever. It's just what it is. It's not bad. It's well produced. It sounds good in many ways, but not interesting. So now we're going to go on a hunt to find the guy who I thought this was. Impossible to tell. Impossible to know who you are. Let's see the chat room. Yeah, that was kind of perfect. It was. Curious as to the age of this producer. That's not something we don't talk a lot about. Puerto Ricanism guesses it's a young producer. And my girl just texted me what she wants for Christmas. Little does she know. Little does she know. Binary Infections says Lewis should be the email. Or Louis, I guess. There you are. Thanks a lot. I found you immediately. This is from Binary Infection in the chat. So we are going to play this one and maybe one more. Just because I'm stupid. And I can't count for shit. So, where did VLC go? It's over there with a video, but that's not what I want. So there we are. That's what I'm used to looking at. Now, it's the right guy. This is Binary Infection in the chat room. Let's have a listen. I'm sorry, the volume today might be whatever. Let's go. Damn, that's a lot. So you're explaining it in the chat room as it's two different beats just quickly chopped together. To me, is that one beat and this is another one? Let's talk about the second section here because that's the most interesting part of it. What I'm thinking here, I'm sensing now we've done this for over 2 hours, almost 3 hours, Jesus. I'm sensing some sort of mismatch here. The hugeness of the synths and the arpeggio and the chords and, you know, this super saw kind of old school Timbaland kind of thing together with the rhythm, that works. But I'm getting this weird sensation that the drums doesn't really fit in there. Maybe it's just a mix, not really gluing it together the way I kind of wanted it to. Or maybe it's the sample selection, maybe it's just the volume, I don't know. But I'm just sensing this space between the musical parts of it and the rhythmical parts of it. From this section, from that section right there, I'm expecting it to go one way and it doesn't really go that way. Raise in, and then maybe it's just the drums being like over compressed. Yeah, I think it's as simple as this. The drums are a little bit too loud. They need to be taken down in the mix a little bit to create more of a concise kind of picture of the thing. And I'm talking about details here. Doing stuff like sidechain compression is not what I'm talking about in this case. More just gluing the mix together and finding a way to make it more balanced. And that melody goes nicely together with everything. And still, the mix and everything is nice and punchy and sounds cool. But it's just some kind of disconnect between the musical aspect and the rhythmical aspect of it. Could be done with just mixing. Could be you changing out maybe the kick drum sample. I don't know. Musically speaking, this is, you have the chords on top and in the bass, and then you have the same chords playing like an arpeggio, maybe handcrafted and programmed, maybe not, I don't care. And it sounds good together. Makes musical sense. Love it, like it, whatever. I think it's good. But some detail in the mixing needs to hold everything together, glue everything together, whatever word you want to use. But it's good. It has a lot of potential and could be both kind of like an R&B track with like singers, an instrumental track for a racing game, I don't know. But we also gotta acknowledge that when you're using synths with a lot of voices and oscillators being slightly detuned and whatever, it creates this huge, big kind of sound that's impressive and cool to listen to. There's a time and a place for that, and I think this is the time and the place for that. It's good. The disconnect between that and the drums is what I'm kind of stuck on, though. Not gonna lie. And I'm totally forgetting about the chat. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me do this. We're going to do this for 10 more minutes. And as far as I know myself, being all slow and kind of focusing on details, that's just going to be one beat. So if we have someone in the chat room who has submitted something, maybe for the first time, or who has been featured a lot but not much lately, and feel like frustrated that you haven't been played, please say that in the chat room. That's not you being a jerk. It's me being a jerk for not being able to play on everything. I know. But this system is not perfect, but it is what it is. So we're going to play one more. If someone have strong opinions about not being played, I don't want to cause that. So please, in the chat room. In the chat room. Lucid. I just sent one first time. I mean, this is all complicated because some of the regulars deserves to be played because they're regulars. They're kind of my friends and they're always here. And they deserve to be played and whatever. And also newcomers. It's always welcome. But I will make fun of you for being a baby. James, don't be like that. And you changed your name again. What's up with that? So Lucid Ambrosia just sent one for the first time. Play mine and rip my drums again. Oh, Icon. I'm kind of looking forward to that. I am. No blood. Yeah. Is anyone going to be super disappointed for not being played? In that case, tell me in the chat room. But I think Icon 74 would make sense because I've been kind of hard on him about his drums. And it's kind of fun to be hard. Or maybe you made some improvements. Who knows? And also this new guy, New Blood. And there we have another one. Please play my beat. I had a beat played last time, but this is literally my first NPC beat. Play them both. Yeah, why not? But if we had like 5 people who was really upset about not being played, it would have become an issue. In this case, yeah. And Icon 74, that's more for me because I think it's fun to follow his journey for kind of making better drums. I think it's a bigger deal for beat challenges, but you can't get to all of them. Beat challenges is one thing, but in this case, Atmosphere says Playman 2. Yeah, okay. First of all, Lucid Ambrosia. And I'm not sure I'm saying that word right, but I'm going to keep saying Ambrosia until someone corrects me. Lucid, where are you? There you are. Lucid is out of your organization. Yeah, outside of your organization. I still want the file though. I'm still here digging through. There we are. Okay, so Jesus Christ. And that one is twice. Okay, cool. And it sounds like you have cheated. Lucid Ambrosia. The name of the file is beatreview 2-in-1. And it's 1.5 minutes long. So this could be like 2 beats in one file. I don't know. We're still going to play it. Lucid Ambrosia. Here we go. That's the first time ever. I think that's the first time ever I've forgot to unmute my mic. So take a sip of whatever. Normally I do, I do a good job of actually putting the mic on after muting it, but this time I forgot. And that track felt really similar to the last one because it was the last one. I made a mistake. This is the right track. Now my VLC player is acting up. So my bad. Stream muted. Yeah, I made a lot of mistakes. Come on. That one works. Okay. Easy. Chill. Relax. It's all good. You know? Amber Ambrosia? No. Shit. Lucid Ambrosia. This is the actual track. Lucid Ambrosia. Here we go.
The jury returns to the verdict saying
Damn, that's a ride. Lucid Ambrosia just took us for a ride over so many different things. So, first of all, as I'm listening, I'm trying to think about what am I going to say about this one. You know, that's a part of my job here. And I felt like the first thing I wanted to say was take all the different samples you have here, group-wise or whatever you're working on. Take all the samples and just take them up like 3 semitones. Just pitch everything up because it's too dark and too muddy and too whatever. And then I listened to another 20 seconds and I figured out that's not what you want. You want it to be just like this. Super gritty and dark and kind of cool and funky. And this amount of changes in the track over time is impressive and cool. For like a normal casual listener who doesn't really care much, this might sound like too chaotic, just so we know that. But for people like us, this is just, it's cool because it has so many different turns. just goes a little bit that way and then goes a little bit that way, but everything just fits together. And, the heavy drums does a lot of that because they're consistently kind of the same and everything works. But when I make stuff, I try to make stuff that's kind of clean. And that's what I'm trying to work on, because I make stuff that's too clean most of the times. In this case, trying to pitch stuff up and like separating different frequency ranges and stuff, it's not what you want. You want to leave it kind of like this. This section right here is awful. If this was the entire thing, if this went on for like 2 minutes, I couldn't listen to it. But since you're changing things up all the time, so many like super old school jazz samples put together into something that's cool is never bad. But sure, it's a little bit hard to digest because there's a lot of everything. For beat people, it's interesting in the most positive way, but for like casual people, this might be a little bit much. But it's artistic, it's cool, yeah, I'm impressed. And people are pointing out West Side Gun, Griselda, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I know what you're saying. It has a little bit of that, but it's still... I don't think there's space for a rapper in this one, in the best way possible, because I love instrumental music, and this is a piece of instrumental art almost. It's nice. It's just good. I don't have a lot of bad stuff to say about it. Maybe I'm not a huge fan of the kick drum sample itself. It feels a little bit too synthetic or whatever. And Benjamin Buttons is also talking about the kick drum. Would be even better without too much voltage on the kick. Really creative, really artistic. This is good. This is good. What issue? I don't know what you're talking about. And sure, a part of me, like from my normal points of criticism, here it would be a few bass notes that kind of holds everything together would probably glue the entire thing together in a different way. But in this case, I think that kind of glue would make everything worse. I think. Because a bass line in a track like this could act as the glue, the foundation of things to like solidify this is where we are. And maybe you don't want that. And it's super dirty, and you know that. That's a part of the aesthetic, I guess. Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm inspired. I'm never going to be able to make that kind of music myself because I'm too stuck in my ways about being clean and kind of precise about stuff. The name is accurate, so duh. But this is good. Impressive. And this is your first time submitting to this. Awesome. I would love to have you again. Please join. So are we going to go into Icon 74 to crap on his drums again? I don't think we should. Maybe we should play it and listen to how awesomely great his drums are. That could be something. Icon 74. Definitely a part of the community, definitely someone who has been featured a lot. But I have given him such a hard time about his drums on a few tracks. And he says it himself, that drums is kind of his weak point. And I don't think it has to be. I don't think it has to be. But who... Okay, now we have too many files. Can I rearrange? No, I can't. I can. I can. Cool. So, Icon 74. And someone asked about what I have on my MPC, and I think you heard it before. Oh, I can't have my hand over here because that triggers the filter. Can we listen to just this loop twice? I'm working on something. That's too loud, sorry. The bass line is crazy. What am I thinking? And you guys know what it's like. I was working on this one, and I've listened to a lot of your music instead. And now I'm realizing that, yeah, I need to do something about the frequencies on the snare, the volume on the bass. I have two different bass sounds, a sub one and also a key group that's more of an acoustic bass. Got to fix the balance between those. And you know, we got to do some stuff. We got to work on this one. This is a work in progress. Save the project. Okay, cool. So, I'm sorry about that. This is not about me. Are you guys saying something? Nice one. Dope as fuck. Head nodding. Sick. Is the live 3 keeping your creativity back? Yeah, 100%. Whatever I work on in this one, it's just so much fun. So much fun. But yeah, let's move in. This is not about me. This is about you. And right now, it's about Icon 74. Again, we've had some issues with Icon 74's drums. Let's not think about that. Let's just listen to this one as a piece of music right now. You know what? Icon 74. I can't not think about the drums extra hard, and that's not necessarily fair. This track is cool. Super moody, super dark, and dramatic in the best way possible. Love this. This is so cool. This section, love it. There are some frequencies in the sample that just sticks out a little bit. That's, not necessarily great, but yeah. The drums on this one, better than the last one we talked about, I think. Definitely. And nailing the drums when we are already on kind of a high level of beat making, nailing the drums is difficult. In this case, they're distorted, or you've used like overdrive, saturation, whatever it might be, in a really cool way. But maybe they're a little bit loud in general. And maybe someone pointed that out in the chat too. Maybe the snare drum is a little bit thin. It's cool and punchy and distorted and just feels like it fits the vibe really well. But I feel like a little bit more low, a little bit more mids. I don't know. We're talking about details. And you have this huge bass line on like the really low frequencies. So I understand that the kick drum here is kind of like cardboardy, not in a bad way. I do think the kick drum could have a little bit more low frequencies, a little bit more bass, but this is better than the last time around, for sure. And you're getting a lot of feedback in the chat room from a lot of really helpful and nice people. So you don't need me for this, just look at the chat. What light is that? It's that one, my bad. I want to turn that light on again, so whenever I come down here tomorrow, it's not completely dark. You know what, guys? I'm always saying that I'm doing this for 2 hours, and today it was 3 hours and 15 minutes. That's the last track for today by Icon74, who is improving on the drums. Everything else besides the drums, Icon74 has that in a little box, The drums, in this case, much better than before. And finding drums, it's not easy. And finding drums that suits kind of the beat itself is where it's at. That's like the biggest thing. In this case, good. So, guys, you know what this means? This means that the stream is gonna end. I'm gonna go to bed, thinking about this track that I have on the MPC that I'm working on, and other stuff as well. Tomorrow, I might do a stream in the middle of the day, my time. I don't know. I'm not promising anything. Next week, though, next Monday on the 22nd of December, we're doing another episode of the Beat Review live stream. You know what? I should record this in OBS, so I can use parts of this for my social media post. So this is it. Next week on Monday, on the 22nd of December, we're doing another episode of my Beat Review live stream here on YouTube. I can't say here on YouTube if I'm posting this on Instagram. Sorry. Give me a minute. So, next week on the 22nd of December, on a Monday, we're doing another episode of my Beat Review live stream over on YouTube. This time around, it's going to be Christmas or holiday themed. So all the beats that's going to be submitted and played has to have some sort of Christmas or holiday kind of element to them. So the theme is Christmas and it's Beat Review. Send beats to me to send me any type of submission that you made yourself. We're not doing like AI generated stuff. To beatreview@accuratebeats.com, and you have kind of a good chance to be featured. I'm not promising anything, but that's what it is. Beat Review live stream, 22nd of December, Christmas or holiday theme. That's what it is. Okay, so I'm going to use that clip for Instagram and whatever. Cool. We got it. So many Tambourine beats incoming. Well, if you guys don't have... If you don't have anything like this, or even better, it could still be a Christmas or a holiday type beat, for sure. I'm just joking around, but that's like a cheat code. So, today... That's it for this Beat Review live stream. Thanks a lot for you guys hanging out and submitting beats and everything. This concept wouldn't be possible without me actually getting beats from guys like you, so thanks a lot. Now it's time to leave. Please, someone sample Wham! And yeah, that's what I'm pointing out. You don't have to sample Mariah Carey. You don't have to sample Wham! Just make something that feels Christmassy. Or whatever kind of holiday you're celebrating, Anything like that could be cool. Or a keychain. Sure, a keychain could sound like bells of some sort. Whatever, guys. Thanks a lot for hanging out. And thanks a lot for the super chats and everything tonight. Awesome stuff. Peace out, everyone. I gotta go and good night.